Hi guys! Welcome to another episode of Book a Lunch Date. So today we're making a kind of everybody's favorite, I feel like, a very classic Chinese or Asian takeout appetizer, the pot stickers. I've been kind of debating if I'm going to do the demonstration for this dish because it's actually it's not hard, it's pretty easy. The ingredients are very easy to obtain, but the process is long. So I've shortened it a lot already. I prepped a lot of food already. So I'm going to start from beginning. Today I'm making the pork chive pot sticker or dumpling. It's a classic. So pork and chives are just classic combination. But chives in Chinese cuisine, we use it as a vegetable instead of as an herb. So we eat it directly. We can saute it, we can do a lot of stuff with it, but it does have a stronger fragrance. So not a lot of people will like. So you can always substitute chives with cabbage. The process are exactly the same. You just mince everything up together and mix them. So it's not super difficult. Usually in the Chinese restaurants, they would use cabbage instead of chives just because it's more acceptable by the public. So we have our chives. I use a lot more than this. I use like a big bundle of chives. I grow my own chives in my garden. So usually what I do is when I harvest them, I just make dumplings. Okay, so I have chives and I washed them already. They're organic, so you know, doesn't need much cleaning. Just need to wash them out. So you'd want to cut them very finely. Same thing you would do with your cabbage. I would even cut the cabbage even finer. You can use a food processor for this step if you want. But you just want to mince everything. There's really no skill to it as long as you don't cut your hand. My husband likes the chives one a lot better than the cabbage one, just because it actually gives it more flavor. But most Americans or most people that doesn't like or not used to the smell or the flavor of chives, they substitute with cabbage. That's the most common vegetable that you can substitute with. Because it does have a pretty strong smell. Just want to cut it very finely. See? No skill whatsoever. You can if you want to use scissors. Go ahead. No. You just chop everything up. Why do I use such a small bowl? I don't know, but it works. Okay. So we put everything in. And then the next step is crucial. If you're using cabbage, this is very important, okay? Because chive doesn't have as much moisture in it. So if you're using chive, I wouldn't recommend it. You could skip this step, but if you're using cabbage, do not skip this step at all. You have to reduce the amount of moisture in your veggie as much as possible. Otherwise, your meat is going to fall apart and it's going to be too liquidy. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to add a little bit of salt. That's going to make the veggie reduce moisture from inside. Okay, kind of when you are pickling your veggies. So that's what you have to do. You have to do this step if you're using cabbage. Okay, So I'm going to let it sit. At the same time, I'm going to work with my ginger because I'm using pork today. So that's why I want to make sure I'm adding a little bit of ginger root to it so it doesn't have the porky smell. Again, I'm using pork today. That's the most basic, that's the most common protein that goes into dumplings. Most of the dumplings you eat outside are made of pork, unless they say it's chicken or other meat. I prefer red meat, so I usually use pork. Sometimes I'll add in a little bit of beef, just depends on the ingredient. But you can use red meat, you can use chicken if you want to. Turkey, never tried it, but no, if you want to give it a try. You can, it's easy to find ground beef, chicken, and turkey in regular market. It's a little bit difficult to find ground pork, but you know, I know where to get them, and if you want to know where to get them, you can ask me. But or you can just buy regular pork and then just chop it yourself. Some hardcore, you know, some of the families that I know that are really picky about their dumplings, they will buy ingredients and chop it themselves. So like mince their, like ground their own pork or chicken or beef, so they have the perfect lenient, like the fat and lean meat proportion. But I'm not gonna do that because that's a lot of work. I'm just going to ground out some of my ginger. I love the flavor of ginger. That's really going to help reduce the texture, the kind of like a porky smell. I don't know how to explain that, but it's kind of like a very the not as pleasant pork smell. So I'm going to reduce that by adding ginger and then also rice wine a little bit. Okay, so we're not going to use all these fibers. Alright. And then, so this should be good. So next step, if you want to take a little cloth, or if you have like a clean paper towel, not paper towel, clean towel, or I use kind of a cheesecloth thing, and then you can just squeeze out all the liquid. You have to do this if you're using, it's not sitting low enough, but you have to do this if it's cabbage, okay? Because if you're not using, if you're not squeezing all the liquid, your meat is going to fall apart and it's going to be soupy. Because cabbage just has a lot more moisture. Right? So I have a whole bowl of it. I let it sit for almost 20 minutes. That's why before I start squeezing them out. So it will have a lot more moisture. Okay, I'm gonna put these ones aside. Wash my hands. And we are done with all the ingredient prepping. I cut these up earlier today, so it's because I know people don't want to see me cutting for like 30 minutes straight. And I'm also using my my KitchenAid for the first time to make this. Now I have pork inside. I'll be adding this. And this is easier. So I'm adding my chives in there. And then I'm going to add an egg. So now the point is, I know the moisture content that I'm adding in, so I have eggs. Just a little bit of salt because I already added salt to the chives, right? So so we don't need to add any more. Just a little bit soy sauce for the coloring. And rice wine, a new bottle. Pepper, love pepper. Me too. And then ginger. And then you just mix everything up together. I will be adding some cornstarch or tapioca starch to it, but not right now. Right now I'm just mixing it all together. You want to make sure they are very, very mixed, so they are not separated at all. And usually if I'm not in a hurry because I know you guys don't want to look at this for more than 30 minutes, usually I will do it by hand. That's another way that you can do it. It's really fun to squeeze it in. Oh, it smells so good. Pause, I'm adding in my starch. That's going to help the whole thing combine together, so it doesn't fall apart. It's kind of like glue. And the trick to make a perfect dumpling is that, like the perfect interior of the dumpling is, you don't want to add everything in so fast. You want to just add in slowly so you can adjust to the proportion of the meat, so that way you can adjust it. And the other way that, because it's raw meat, if you're new at this and you want to know whether or not you are doing it correctly, you can always cook a little bit, just pan fry it, and so you know whether or not if it's too salty. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, the tapioca powder got to me. Okay. And then last, I'm adding a little bit of sesame oil. So that's going to combine everything together, and while it's doing that, I am cleaning up and showing you my pasta skin. So this is a wrap for the pasta. You can find it at almost any Chinese aisle, or you can find it in most Chinese or Asian markets. It doesn't have to be Chinese, because Japan and Korean also have similar pot stickers. So the ones I'm using today is made in America. I never used this brand before, but it's not an issue. Use whatever you want. And then you also want to have a plate so you can put the pot sticker in. A small bowl of milk. That's going to be the glue for the skin. Okay. Okay. Oh, and you also need a spoon. Alright. Ooh, wrong side. Alright, this is done. Very well mixed together. Come on. All right. So we have our meat ready. Oh, the other thing that you can try, I never actually tried it, is to make, to use kimchi to make it. Again, you have to squeeze out the liquid really good. And then the whole thing is going to be very red, but it will be something cool that you can do. Right, so put it like that. Alright, this is the fun part. We used to do this as a whole family, just my grandma or my mom, they'll make a huge pot of meat and bought a bunch of wrappings, and we just, you know, sit together as a family to make dumplings. And then what you do afterward, you can freeze them, and then we usually eat it the day off and then freeze them, and then you can have frozen dumplings in your fridge. So whenever you're, you know, hungry, you can always have some on hand. So today I will be making a lot more than I'll be showing you guys, but here we go. So you take a spoonful of it, kind of like that, and then you take some water. I am not the best dumpling wrapper person per se. My mom is really good at it. I'm slow, but hey, it's homemade, so it's okay. So you want to wrap it like, kind of like a closed taco, like this, like a mini taco, like that's, but it's enclosed. And then you want to put some more water on it and just fold them up. Ta-da! Like that. I'm gonna do one that's closer to the camera so you can see. Again, I'm not the best at it. I am just regular way to do it. So put a little meat on it. Put water around it. You don't want to put too much, otherwise it'll be soggy. Fold it like a taco. Press it down so it sticks together like this. So you can already see the dumpling shape. And then put a little bit more water on it. The skin I'm using today is a little bit drier. So then you fold. Fold another one. Fold. Fold in. So it has a little dumpling shape. Okay, dumpling has a very good. A lot of the families in the north side of China, they love dumplings because that's kind of one of their main dish, because it's cold up there. And then we have a lot of traditions in regards to dumpling making, and different families have their own different way of making it. And dumpling has a very good what's that called? It's just a happy food, because in ancient China, the shape of dumpling is actually very similar to the shape of money. How they would mold the gold, not coin, but like gold or silver into, so it looks a lot like it. So that's why dumpling has always been a very kind of lucky food that you can use. I just realized no one can see me. So make it into a taco. And what I would recommend, what I personally like to do, is to play a movie. Like, I will prep all the ingredients, have my dumpling wrappers ready, sitting in my kitchen or my living room, play a movie and just do this for the entire afternoon. And now I'll wrap it. I'm gonna do 2 more and then we can start cooking. Okay. As you can see, I have a lot more to go through. Usually I'll buy like 2 packs of skin dumpling wrapper. And oh, the difference between dumpling and wonton, it's a skin. The wonton wrapping paper, not paper. The wonton wrapping wrapper, it's a lot more thicker. Not a lot, just a little bit thicker. And the wonton one is very thin. It's paper thin. So it's very different. So the meat is going to be a little bit different as well. Usually the wonton one is not as heavy and you use just a teeny bit of meat in it. And these will be made into pastigar. There's multiple ways that you can cook your dumplings, and the most famous way in American cuisine or American Chinese cuisine is pastigars. It's very fast and easy. Usually, but in Asia, usually we would boil it instead of make it into a pastigar. But pastigar is good. It's really fast, so if you make a bunch of this, you can just, you know, put it in the freezer, and when your husband is hungry at 11 p.m. and you have nothing in your fridge, then you can bring out the pastigars or dumplings, which is super duper easy. And yes, my husband got hungry at 11 p.m. all the time, and you're just like, oh, I have to feed you, why? Alright. So we are good. 7. Alright, so I'm going to stop right there. Put this on the sideline. I'll be finishing that up on my own time. Right now, what we will be doing is cooking. So you do want to get a non-stick pan for this, and if you want to skip the previous step and just go to the market to buy the pre-frozen already made dumplings, go ahead. I'm not judging. Go ahead, and then you can follow the next step, which should be on the package. But anyways, my pan is a little bit wet, so let's just let it cool down. You do want to get a lid for this next process. Too much. this gas stove, it's really powerful, which is good sometimes, but sometimes it's a little bit too much. And then you want to put it in. Just put directly in. It might splash a little bit because you do have a little bit of moisture. You can also do this with your frozen pot sticker. You do not have to defrost it. Just put it in directly. Don't worry about, oh, it's frozen. No, just dump it in. And then just kind of let it sit. You don't want to turn the heat up too high because you want to have the golden brown on the bottom. Just got some water ready. Got my shield ready because it's going to be okay. And then you put your water in, and then you close it. Basically, what you're doing is you are steaming and pan frying it at the same time. Steam has a lot higher temperature than fire. Actually, steam holds higher temperature, so it's going to cook the meat really fast. So I'm using the steam on the top, and on the bottom it's also absorbing the heat from directly from the flame. So that's that. Come on. Got my chopsticks and plate ready. Dumplings also has a long history. Like we know this since very little, that it has a lot to do with Chinese New Year, because in northern China they will make it for Chinese New Year. Instead of kind of like in the afternoon, they will gather around, make dumplings and eat it. And a funny story is that some families will actually put a little coin in one of the dumplings that they will be cooking that day, and the person that eat it, that means they will have good luck next year. Not every family does this, only some families, especially in the northern part of China, will do it, and I don't think people do it as often nowadays. So we need a little bit more liquid, a little bit more water to make sure it's completely cooked through. So but you can actually do this at home. I did that with my husband when I'm making dumplings. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll play dumpling roulette. It's kind of hazardous to eat coin, so what I do is I'll add wasabi into one of the dumplings that we'll be eating that day, and then we'll sit around and we'll just take a dumpling at a time, and then we'll eat it together to see who will get the one that has wasabi in it. It's really fun. And I also we evolve into having chilies or different stuff. So you can give that a try if you decide to make it at home with your family. It's really funny. Just to add a lot of spice into your life. I think it's almost done. It didn't take that long. Dumpling. So then you want to make sure all the water is evaporated and it's cooked through. And then you'll be done. So it might look like it's, so it has still have a little moisture in it. Let me see if we can see it better in the front. I'm going to turn the heat off because it just has a little bit left. So I'm just using the heat from the pot directly to cook it through. So then what you will have is crispy on the bottom. Let me bring it closer for you. So it's crispy on the bottom and then, you know, still kind of holds its shape on the top. And then you can just add some soy sauce or chili sauce to it. Then you'll be perfect to eat. Going to grab a small one. We used to make it, I used to make it like a little round shape when I was little. Let's go through. It's hot. Oh, it's so good. I'll be making a lot more this afternoon because I need to finish a whole pot. But after I finish this. Bye guys.